Hey, Stormer or Demons Alliance, it's me, Spikes here, coming at you with another video. In this video, I am turning famous mythological creatures into dragons. The first one I did was a Pegasus. The second one I did was a Minotaur, which I actually turned into a Wyvern with some different aspects of it. Next one I did was a Manacle, which came out to be my personal favorite design out of all of them. And the final one turned out to be was a Phoenix, which I turned into an Amphitheater, which was an okay design, but to be honest, one of my least favorites of the design bunch. But other than that, they're all pretty good designs in my books. So yeah, and also there is going to be a video releasing Saturday because I've been busy with some other things. So yeah, now let's roll intro. Let's get into this video. Let's go. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Okay, the next series of dragons I'm going to be talking about are dragons based off mythological creatures this world's overseer decided to go off of. He has a weird fascination with actual mythological creatures. He gets it from the overseer in this multiverse. This first one is the draconic feather-winged Pegasus, or Pegasus Dragon. Other than its head and its tail and the claws of it, look like a regular little Pegasus. Other than the fact it's about 5 times larger. The thing has a very creepy looking face, and the jaw is actually about twice as big as it should be. Because, and get this, based off a legend I've heard, some guy was having a bunch of these as racing dragons. And for that, these are rare species known simply as horse dragons, because they are hybrids of dragons and horses. They're quite rare. Their manes are always made up of spikes. They're always bald on top, and they always have 3 spikes on each foot, and a long tail with 3 spikes at the end. Usually they are drakes, but these are a rare breed which are Pegasus. The most common color is white. But back to the legend. This guy was having them as racing horse dragons, and yeah, it's a very rare and very expensive hobby to get into. I've never really been to a few because of the price tag on them. But hey, I've been to a few so I can just see what it's like. And I've gambled, and for a time I was really into it, but it's down now, just meh. I managed to actually win a few horses out of them. Then I lost a few, but I still have one. And I'm not so bonded to it, but I have another thing going on with it. An ownership pact. The difference between a soul bond and an ownership pact. An ownership pact is that I'm its owner and it can't disobey me. Sort of like a slave crest from, what was that called? Rising the Shield Hero. But back to the legend. Like I was saying, the guy had some of these dragons as racing horse dragons. He was feeding them humans. Yes, this is actually based off of the Legend of Hercules, but it's just so messed up. It's actually, this overseer was actually quite twisted a few months ago at the time when he was making this part of the timeline. So yeah, that happened. And then some other guy, don't really know his name. I think he was just this world's version of Hercules or something. But unlike Hercules not having that belt, he still was the son of a lightning god or sky god. But he wasn't the son of Zeus or anything. Still cheated on his wife and had everything other thing going on with him. Even that stepmom incident. Him going crazy because of his stepmom. Which is in mythology. Hera made him go insane. But he actually tossed the guy into the horse pen. The guy was still alive. So yeah, their final meal for him was himself. Kind of weird I'm laughing at that. I've actually managed to go back in time and actually witness that myself. And I was right. The guy looked almost exactly like Hercules or Heracles. And I was looking, no one saw me because that would have messed up my timeline a stupid amount. I was just some random off buyer looker. No one can really see me right now, so yeah. It's a good thing I've learned some shape-shifting magic for that. That was a little fun for the record. I really can hop timelines, but trust me, it's a really interesting and fun thing to do. Just to goof around, just witnessing a bunch of weird things. But overall, these horse racing dragons are very rare. I'm talking like only a few hundred of each species are out there. And especially these Pegasus ones. There's only like 50 or so brown models. That was around 20 years ago. Their numbers have actually went up quite a bit to where around 500 of them. So yeah, decent, but not stupidly common. I'm actually and they usually weigh around 5 tons. Not really 5 tons. Actually closer to 2.5 tons, judging by the horse. Usually a horse weighs around 1 ton, so makes sense. But usually weighs around half a ton, sorry. But yeah, that's all I got for these dragons. And also their wingspan is usually around 15 feet, so yeah, very small. And no, wait, scratch that since they're so large. I actually miscounted. That was 50 feet, so yeah, very large wingspan. Now, and their lifespan is also for around 50,000 years. So yeah, they can get pretty sticking old. Now let's get to the next one. Now, the next one I'm going over is another one that's based off of myth. But what this one's different is because of the fact that it's actually known as the what was it known as? I'm having trouble remembering. As the Titanic Minotaur Wyvern. But unlike most Wyverns, it actually has humanoid-like hands. And these hands are actually very human-like in appearance. And it's usually standing on the 2 back legs, which are uncharacteristically big, very big and strong. Sometimes people say they look like goat legs, but they're actually cow legs. They're actually very scaly and somewhat furry at the same time. Their fur is scale-like because of their dragon parts. They are part Minotaur, and Minotaurs are actually quite common things to find, especially when you're in a dungeon. I've counted a few of them while dungeon crawling. I was bored, so okay. So sue me. I enjoyed hunting monsters, okay? I have like 50 dead. Well, not 50, closer to 50,000. I killed so many. But they're even rarer to find above ground. And the few that are still more powerful than the ones underground. So yeah, I can see why those things are stupidly rare to find. But the rarer ones are actually pretty common above ground. It's just like someone decided to have them as a pet, saw they couldn't be tamed or something like that, and then as they either try to take them back and they broke out. But most of them are concentrated in one area known as the Labyrinth Forest. The Labyrinth Forest is actually a very huge forest that takes up a good chunk of the North American area. And also, it has actually like a portal in the middle of it that lead to other places like Greece and Roman, like different places all across the world. And they're all connected from those portals. I've been to it before, and it took me 5 years to get out. So, yeah, and also there's a few other creatures in there. And the reason why they're called the Titanic ones is because of how stinking huge they are. Like, I'm talking clocking around 50 feet tall, and since they're wyverns, they're part wyvern and the part dragon part, which makes sense of their, what they can do. They're also part of the blade tail family, because they have a Chinese hook blade-like razor tail, sword tail, at the end of them. So, yeah, not to mention they're pretty strong. They got a freaking sword tail at the end of on the end of their tail. So, yeah, do not underestimate these creatures at all. I've made that fatal flaw, to be honest, and I regret it. I made that mistake. I mean, that I challenged one of the things to a fight, and I nearly got my arse whooped. That was when I was around 20 years old, and counting my first one. Pretty decent at magic, but not that as powerful as I am now. And their wingspan, for the record, their wingspan, their arms are actually longer than their actual body height. So, yeah. And they stand around 2 feet from shoulder to shoulder. So, yeah, you can see how big and burly and strong these guys are. And their wingspan is actually around 60 feet. So, yeah, that's 30 feet on each side. Still, yikes. And they can punch really hard. I'm talking, like, punching straight through a tree. And the tree shatters on impact. Levels of strong. The thing, when in the fight, I managed to do a rare spell that's very hard to learn, and something like that. I managed to do it because I usually am pretty adept in using rare and hard to learn spells. It was actually a very simple spell, but the level I was able to use it at was very rare in keys. Reason why it's a very simple spell. It's actually the gray magic spell, which is very hard to learn. If you are able to learn it, that is. I am only able to learn it because I managed to learn it from the most overpowered user of it I know. Spike Ghost 1000 himself. My power, compared to him, makes me appear like a freshly newborn baby in gray magic. And keys is short for increase, and it pretty much makes your power, makes your strength skyrocket. The thing clocked me in the face, dislocated my jaw, and broke at the same time. Using my regeneration factor, healing factor, I mean, I managed to heal in like 5 minutes, but boy, that hurt. Because I felt my muscles reknitting itself, my bones popping back into place, and all that. I managed to clock the thing in the face so hard, the head went flying into a tree. And if you look at it, yes, I do have that head stuffed over my wall. And their average lifespan is around, if I remember correctly, 100,000 years. And they can weigh around 2 tons. So yeah, pretty freaking heavy. Let's get to the next one. Okay, the next one I'm going over, and the third one is actually my personal favorite out of all of these. One I actually both encountered, defeated, and soul bonded to. It is a Manacle Dragon, which is the most common name of it, and its creature name is actually Hunting Manacle Dragon. The reason why it's known as the hunting one is because it takes after another creature my brother went over earlier on. The creature was known as the domestic hunting something, I forget, but it was a very early on found species of creatures my brother remembers cataloging. And the reason why this one's my personal favorite is because it's part lion, and I don't really like lions, to be honest, but I admire them for their strength. But also I admire this creature because it's actually smart Paul domestic black dragon. It's like gray body, or is the fact of its heritage. I've actually done some of my own DNA tests, even using magic to verify it. Very, very small amount of DNA that lead to a domestic black dragon are found in there. So yeah, they're really strong. And even that small amount of DNA actually makes their healing factor so much higher. They have red wings, red flesh on the wings, and their head is sort of like that, very similar to that of the Pegasus dragon I was talking about earlier on. But do not let that deter you. They are very vicious. And they actually do have the ability to talk. The average Manacle is pretty ugly looking, for the record. Their lifespan is actually that close of around 2,500, not 2,500, 250,000 years. So, yeah, pretty old. Their average body length from head to tail end is around, I want to say, 50 feet, and their wingspan is actually of around 60 feet. So, yeah, they are able to fly relatively easily. Not to mention that these things are so freaking cute when they're born. They are actually mammals, and they are part dragon. Their main body is pretty scaly, but they are actually born alive, which is quite hard to understand. But those are more resembling or closer to the actual manacles than my personal favorite, known as the reptilian part of the family, is because of they actually hatch from eggs, and they are hatching with fur intact. So yeah, and the things are so small and so cute. But once they start growing up, that's when they start becoming more and more vicious. The one I have at the moment is actually only around 500 years old, but he is still very powerful in of himself. So yeah, that's also, they can weigh around 2 tons easily, and this guy's like a giant cat. Well, technically more closer to a dog because of how I trained him, but still. Very, very interesting pet to have. The only reason why I was able to tame him was because of how much power I have behind myself. And I had my main 4 dragons with me. Well, wait, correction, main 5 dragons. But my domestic black dragon I rarely ever use, because I got the level of forest by sneezing by accident. So yeah, do not piss off any of my dragons unless you want your body to reduce to ash in a 5-second flat period. I've seen someone insult me or my domestic black dragon. Matter of fact, one of them actually insulted my Manacle Dragon a few years ago. That guy learned his lesson not to insult my pets or my subordinates, or, to be honest, they're more like family to me, to be honest. But hey, they've all learned not to insult them, because that guy got his junk bit off. He was able to regrow it in a few months, he said, but he learned not to get onto you for doing your job. You were very good at it. That's what he literally said after that happened. He apologized, and he said he was going through a bad thing, but meh. That's all I got for these. Let's get to the next one. Now, the final one I'm going over is actually sometimes mistaken for a winged worm because of how long they can get. But they're actually a breed of Amphitheater. These are known as fire-bending Phoenix Amphitheater, or Phoenix Amphitheater. They are a rare subspecies of the fire-bending dragons. They are able to, And they do look like their wings are made of feathers because of how light and translucent their wings are. But in reality, it's just how the wings are shaped. And just like their phoenix counterparts and the bird counterparts of these things, they are able to burn themselves up and turn to ash and turn to freshly newborn hatchling. But they can only do that about, I want to say 100 times. And they can live for around 50,000 years each time. But if they're so bonded to someone like me, they can do it as many times as they want and live for as long as they want. But they usually do die around 60,000 years. So, yeah. But the rarest time they live to be closer to 100,000 years. They are nearly immobile. But depends on your power as well. These things are actually quite common to have as pets because of how abundant they are. But to get a freshly newborn hatchling one, it's very hard to tell. But you can usually tell by how much longer, how many more times it can be reborn by the markings on its forehead. It actually has about 100 markings on it by the time it's freshly born. So, yeah. You can easily tell when that happens. But like I already stated, they are able to superheat their bodies, but they're also able to do that pretty much whenever they feel threatened. They're also able to breathe fire and spit fire from their tail, and they're actually known to have a crown of fire on their head at all times. And on rare occasions, on very, very rare occasions, they can actually turn the flames to blue or lightning, and that's a very rare occurrence. And they also are known to leave trails of smoke behind them when they fly by, and that's because of their fire they have behind their wing. Just close enough for it to be close enough to be mistaken for being on their wings, but not close enough to actually singe their wing. Yeah, these things aren't immune to their own flames, but they can have a pretty high tolerance and a pretty high regen factor to deal with that. But other than that, their wingspan is usually around 50 feet, well actually closer to around 10 feet. But those are 50 feet ones are pretty large and pretty rare to find. And their average body length from head to tail end is actually usually closer to around be around 20 feet, and on the 50 feet one, they're usually around 100 feet. So yeah, double their body length for their wingspan. But since they're so light, they are able to fly much as they want. And trust me, I actually have an owner contract with one of them, and the thing is actually relatively easy to tame. But if they just stay wild for about just 10 of their lives, they become pretty aggressive. That's all the information I have on them. So, see ya. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, because that's all the time I got for today. Until next time, subscribe to join the Spikers Army or Demon's Alliance. Goodbye and peace out, everyone.